So, well, let's get started, and I imagine others will trickle on as we get started. Folks, you are here because many of us, got brain dumped yesterday. We took in a lot, we learned a lot, we grew, and hopefully we're finding ways to thrive as a result of that. And knowing that oftentimes when you go to a conference, when you go to a class, you go to an event, you hear a million things, but very little of it turns into activity. You leave inspired, but so what? And Mike yesterday challenged us to write down what are our three go do now sorts of things. So I want today's conversation to be us sharing ideas, because I was only able to be present for 2 out of 8 panels. I know we were all in different places, but for us to increase our collective learning, our collective hive mind experience from what we got from yesterday's Summer Masterminds, and then for us to leave with 1 or 2 or 3 things where it's the go do now. Before we dive into kind of the what of our learning experience, Mike, to put you on the spot,
Sure.
Tell us about, because you were the driver of this, regardless of the amount of credit that you choose to take. What was your hope from this experience?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Mark, and thank you to everybody who was able to be a part of yesterday, whether you were a panelist, an attendee, a moderator, as Mark was, or just somebody who came out and supported the day. We're thrilled with the outcome. So many times when you're taking on a project, it's important, we're taught to, have a GPS, have a 411. And we even took a step further back as a team internally and said, hey, what's the mission and vision for this? Before we even get to the goal, what's the mission and vision for this? And so we started our weekly meetings every week, reviewing our mission and vision for Summer Masterminds. This is an event that Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan has done for the last few years. And we said, hey, there's an opportunity here with the leadership that we have, the agents that we have, the relationships we have, to do a Keller Williams event for Northeast Ohio. So our mission was to provide a large-scale KW experience to KW agents in Northeast Ohio. That Mark, you and I and Jill and several people on this call have been to Mega Camp, or have been to Summer Masterminds, or Family Reunion, or have been to regional events where there's 30 different market centers represented. For a lot of our agents, new or experienced, that's an opportunity that they have not had, or maybe haven't had in a while, right? Since the pandemic, maybe. And so we really wanted to show the size and scale and scope of our organization. So that was our mission, to provide that large scale event. And then the vision was that this was going to be the real estate event of the summer, right? It was going to be a value add. It was going to be exciting. It was going to be a marketing moment or an Instagrammable moment. And that you were going to leave with bits and pieces that, reminded you, whether it was the notebook, the lanyard, the sticker, all the swag, all of that fun stuff, but to make it an event, right? In our office, our Director of Agent Services is actually Director of Agent Services and Experiences, right? And so when we think about the mission of Keller Williams Realty International, careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving, we think that experience piece is really in the events that we do and the trainings that we do. Our goal was to have 350 agents attend. And if we're going to be accountable, we did not hit that number.
Where did we finish?
I think our total attendees were around 315. So okay. We had, listen, room for improvement for next year. And then obviously we put a slogan of the event, sort of our North Star for the event was the slogan to learn, grow, and thrive. So we want to do things around education, wanted to stretch people, our agents, in terms of what they were exposed to, and then really, frame things in this idea that the market is shifting. It will continue to shift. We may be in a protracted moment where the current environment is this way for the next 7 years, right? There are some models that show this is the environment that we'll operate in as realtors until the 2030s. That does not mean that we cannot be successful. In fact, the data shows that we are outperforming every other brand and brokerage in Northeast Ohio in our MLS, in spite of the shifts, in spite of disruptive behavior from competitors. And so just reminding folks that, if you've ever thought that you weren't in the right place, you are. And in fact, there are a few places on earth that are better for you to be in business, let alone be in a real estate business.
Mm-hmm. That's a good word. And I think even though KW is under we're all under one big umbrella, each franchise, we could choose to be tribal and territorial and not talk to each other. And so I think one thing that I loved, KW, pardon me, fosters a culture. Of course, Jose is calling me during this class. Come on, Jose.
Come on, man. Look at your calendar, bro.
Fosters a culture of collaboration and sharing. I had an agent join us from a different brokerage yesterday, and she shared, hey, in my 7 years in my current brokerage, I never learned as much as I have today. And I haven't been in an environment where people are just so glad to share. So I love being part of a company where we believe that success doesn't come from keeping secrets.
Yeah, it's so well put. And just to frame things, for anyone that maybe wasn't there, there was a very nice thread around listings. The most important thing that we're doing: panels on listings, keynote on listings, unique ways to get them, how to identify, find the motivated, right? Step number 2 in shift. But then, you look at the panels, one on wealth building, right? Filled with people who, if they never sold another home ever again, would be fine, right? Would make it. And they were sharing like, hey, this is my wealth journey. Hey, here's the spreadsheet I use. Here's who coached me. I'm willing to help you. Our Rainmaker panel, right? Teams are super sexy, super interesting, and somehow we still find ways to do them differently and sometimes wrong. That Rainmaker panel, right? Jose was the moderator. Mike Zinicola of the Easy Sales team was on the panel. Ryan Young, Ed Huck, and Amanda Pullman. Collective volume of those 5 people in 2022 was over $750 million.
Wow.
Right. So the number 1 real estate office in Northeast Ohio last year did $1 billion in sales. And those 5 individuals represented $750 million. And they spent an hour telling everyone how to do what they did.
Yeah.
And more importantly, what to avoid along the way and what systems are most important. And it's just, it's an amazing part of our culture. You should want for nothing in this organization. And I think yesterday was a good example of that.
Yep. So what I'd like to do, I know you guys want to hear me and Mike just talk for an hour.
I know Jill does.
give me hair growing tips, etc. But I think what I'd like to do is kind of break this conversation into two main chapters. One is part A is for those that were there, what's 1 or 2 or 3 things, ahas, that you took away from the panel or panels that you sat in on because you couldn't be in 8 or 4 different places at once. And so for those that were there, I'd love, this is designed to be at least somewhat participatory. What's something you learned? What's something that you're kind of hadn't heard before, or perspective or tactic that was meaningful to you? And then part 2 will be an opportunity for us to dive in and dissect a little bit more of what we picked up from Dan Ihara. I'm an investor guy. I've done 1031 exchanges before, and I will admit that he covered a lot of ground. And I think I looked around and there were like a lot of people are like, this is good, but also I feel a little bit overwhelmed at some of the things that he's hitting on here. And so I would love a time for us to spend kind of dissecting that and figuring out what it might mean for our business. So with that, Sarah, simply because you've got your camera on, I'm going to put you on the spot, and then we'll go to Jordan and we'll keep things moving. Jordan, don't turn that camera back on, bro. I would love to hear what panels did you attend first, Sarah, and then what are 1 or 2 or 3 things that stuck out to you? Thank you in advance for letting me put you on the spot. That's like
no problem.
Like virtual class 101. Don't do that, but I feel like you can take it, so I'm going there.
Oh no, it's fine. I make all my PC people put the cameras on, so I should be on camera. The first one I did was, let me find it, is lessons from lead listers, which I thought was great. I really like that most of their stuff is coming from their sphere or the past clients. And I love that they're very big on educating the client. I don't think enough people educate. They just go in there, they try to get the deal, and then they like go on to the next offer, next deal. Like they don't take the time to educate them. I think many sellers just feel like they're a transaction. So I think the biggest thing, because I had a few of my PC people there, they're like, we really got to make this a relationship. That's what a lot of them said, like, we really got to work on a relationship aspect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably the biggest thing. A few of them said that they had to work on their listing presentation. So last night I got 5 listing presentations I had to dig through. So that was fun.
From PC folks?
Yes, all my PC folks.
Nice. Good for you.
And I know Melissa's on here, and the one that I liked is how she said she's a solution for everything. I actually put that in my PC chat, and I said, make sure that you are a solution for everything. Make sure that you know how to answer everything or get the answer.
Or in Melissa's case, have the tool, have the answer. Melissa, just since she teed you up, I know you're driving. I'm sure you can drive and talk safely. Tell us, like, in your world, you created businesses to support exactly what Sarah's talking about. Can you tell the Zoom room a little bit about what that means for you and your business? Because not everybody was in that lead listing seminar.
Yeah, so it's really hard when you want to have a solution for everything and then you're dependent on other people constantly letting you down, and then you look like a failure to your clients. And so I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so I've created businesses and programs where I'm kind of in the driver's seat of all that. And so besides running a real estate team and having a real estate business, I have a staging company, a photography company, and then I run a program where we go in and help sellers fix up properties, from painting a bathroom to $75,000 house renovations. And so I'm in the driver's seat for that. I have an in-house contractor now. And so when I say I have a solution for everything, I really have a solution for everything now, in confidence. So
And it's not
I don't
just
think I
something
missed
that you can
anything.
point to. It's something that like, oh, this is a business that I've decided to create, because you voiced it. For you, it's important to, frankly, to be able to control as much of their experience as possible, is what I heard there.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think ever since family reunion, I think part of the message was like, people don't care how much you know. People, like, especially coming off COVID, people just want to know how much you care. And for anybody that knows me and knows my team knows, like, we're constantly giving back to the community, and just making part of our listing package authentic and including pictures of us actually giving back to the community and making that part of our listing presentation. Like, hey, if you have a couch that you're not taking, we'll come get it, and we'll donate it to a local veteran in need. Like, I have people that are like, we picked you because you give back to local veterans in need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
systems around care to deepen your kind of your footprint in the communities which you serve. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Melissa, so you spoke at one of the panels. Did you have the chance to go to another one after that?
Yeah, so I went to the social media one. So I have amazing ideas for social media. I've even come up with songs. Like, does everybody know that there's this heart song and it's like, how do I get you alone? It's like ALONE. I have a whole song on how can I get you a loan? Like, how can I go get you a loan so you can buy a house? So I have really great ideas. And you've seen some of our refresh projects, like the before and afters. I have zero implementation. I don't know, like, I know how to post on Facebook. So some of the tips and tricks I've learned from that class, probably this is going to be a leverage piece for me because I don't know what hashtags, I don't know about the trendy songs. Like, I know what I hear when I'm on TikTok, but that is just not my, I have the creative juices to come up with the ideas. I just can't, swing the bat.
So is the actionable item there leverage? Who in your world can be that implementer?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have to hire for it. It's on my agenda.
Nice. I think, yeah. believe you me, Melissa. I am very much like you, and like, I don't feel comfortable with this. And so for those for whom this is a priority, like, either do I need to time block getting ideas? Do I need to watch TikToks and YouTube videos and see what others are doing to get the juices flowing? Or to Melissa's point, do I need to find leverage in order to actually implement that? We're all in different places in our businesses and our journeys.
Yeah, I'll build on that real quick, Mark.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I don't remember which session I heard it in yesterday. It could have been a side conversation with our keynote Dan, but somebody indicated that they found a lot of value in time blocking weekly, one morning, an hour, 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours, to think about and work on their business, right? So that could be tuning up a buyer presentation, tuning up their listing presentation, thinking about expanding their unique value proposition. And what it allowed them to do was to be intentional about what they were going to do differently to generate more business or add more value, instead of doing it in a reactive way. And it was just an hour a week where they would go into a room, shut the door, and say, okay, how can I improve my business? And versus doing it on the fly, right? And that way you always have a time, right? It's like the first idea is easy to come by, but the 10th idea is probably the good one and harder to get to.
So work on the business instead of in the business is what I'm hearing you say.
That could be it.
Maybe. Well, and I think to go a layer deeper with that, my coach, he encourages me to tend something called a parking lot, which is basically, if I have an idea or a problem arises that I don't have the time to really dedicate towards, where is the place that I go? Because like, Mike, you say that, oh, time block, place to work on the business. And then I'm going to go sit in my chair and be like, so what do I think about now? But having a place, a list, where whether it's an idea or whether it's a challenge or a problem in your business, that's the list that drives that 90-minute time.
Yeah, and I would also say that if you are going to, if your intention, and this is just Mike Rapasky talking now, if it is your intention to behave differently than you will the other 50 hours of the week that you are working, I would strongly encourage you to change your environment. Like, do not try to do it in the middle of the day while sitting at your desk and with your phone next to you, right? Like, take a walk for 90 minutes on Wednesday morning. Get away from all of the things that keep you from having deep thoughts. Great
point. Yeah, what's the environment and the timing and the energy where you're most likely to achieve some level of mental flow, not just checklist work, because those are two different mental spaces.
One more point to add to that is, if all else fails, we're reading as a leadership team, Fans First, Jesse Cole, the Savannah Bananas guy. And he has like an idea journal that he has by his bed, and like he won't go to sleep until he writes 10 ideas every day. And sure, like out of a week, you have 70 ideas and 68 of them probably stink, but you got 2 good ideas a day. So I love that. I'm starting to do it and have a separate journal just for that. Your little idea juices.
Jordan, can you break into her desk and take screenshots of that for the rest of us?
I will look for it. There might be an echo.
Jordan, let's segue to you. You're new on the block, but you were taking furious notes yesterday. What did you observe as someone relatively new to the landscape? What did you pick up that left a mark with you?
Yeah, for sure. Rachel's just going on mute.
Uh-oh.
No, it's okay.
Here.
Oh, we'll do that. Sorry.
You're both muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Let me put your sound. Put your sound.
Turn
There we
this
go.
on.
Okay.
Nice.
There we go. Sorry. We're working through it. But we're
that
here.
was brilliance in action.
Thank you. Yeah. Team effort. But so the breakout room that I was really enjoying, I mean, I joined both of them, but the building the wealth one that Mark was leading, I thought was wonderful and really well done. It was for leaders who really spoke about their personal wealth or personal wealth plans and how it doesn't just equate to money. I thought which was really interesting. Wealth can mean different things to different people. And a couple of people stated being financially independent, to be able to control your time is kind of one aspect. Also speaking to, there's a real compounding effect from deal to deal, especially when you're starting off. And this is other ways to invest in, real estate based, I guess, investments, you could say. So putting your money back into your next deal, putting that profit, back into your next deal, right off the bat, not worrying about like certain lifestyle types items like cars or jewelry or other type things that might be a little superficial. It's great to maybe those down the line, but it's important to kind of start that compounding effect really quickly. Just a few points, that I was generating from that. If you have a good deal, the money and capital is always there. So if it's a good deal, if it looks great, you just have to find that capital, find that money, whether it's borrowing from someone or kind of taking out a loan or finding the money, from an investor standpoint. I think that was crucial to hear. The other thing that I thought, that framework is the framework of people's wealth and people's financial plan is completely different for person to person. So obviously there's certain actionable steps that I think give and kind of start building your own personal wealth team that I know Dan will speak to, I guess, later, or we'll reference later, but Dan was speaking to that a bit as well from perspective. From a real estate planning perspective, kind of building your team around you specifically. So kind of that consisting of a financial advisor, accountants, and an insurance broker for your own personal business. I found really interesting. And the last point I'll make on that.
Uh-oh, losing audio.
A 3 and 5 year plan as well for each of those items, and really balancing your weekly balance sheet, either weekly, monthly, just continuously tracking against it. I found that to be really valuable for someone like me who's starting out in this world.
Yeah, no, that's great. That was a really fun, the wealth conversation was a really fun one. Fun to be in the room with some people who are way further down the road than most people I know. And I think one of the things I took away from that conversation is like everyone's definition of wealth is different, but also everyone's place on their journey of that definition is different. And there's no shame or needless pride. Like Kobe, the stuff that dude's doing is crazy, and he's just a guy in another sense. Which
no, for sure. We followed each other on Instagram. He's just starting out there too, and that's how we kind of connected and just started watching some of his videos, and it's just very, very interesting to see what he's doing in the market and really trying to push his name out there from like a social media perspective as well. So it was very cool to see that and how he's, panel or someone else did, but everyone has their own competitive advantage and try to find yours and roll with it and just do it and like keep going. Something I found interesting through him as well, I thought.
What was one thing that you can go and put in action or research more, kind of the go do now thing for you?
For me, it's definitely, to me, it's kind of putting a team together for myself personally, like, whether that's starting to have conversations with a financial planner, some sort of broker. I think like starting to, obviously I'm here for Keller Williams and I'm going to start having those conversations, for our team here. But I think from a personal perspective, kind of using some of that information for my own personal and professional gain, I think will be kind of initially in these first few weeks, something I can start to think about. I'm looking for that and looking to meet people that can kind of help in that process.
Good, good. That's great. Anyone else? I know that most people don't have their cameras on, but anyone else panel based ahas or takeaways?
I didn't share it from Dan, so I'm gonna start with a funny story. So Amy Guthrie and I are out in the lobby area, like wanting to get our pictures with the backdrop, and we're like, "Hey, random guy, can you take our picture?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Do this, do this, do this." And then we go in for the main event, and it was Dan.
The student has become the master.
But I think the biggest nugget like that I got from him was about the trust and the estates, and especially with my refresh program, I think I'm missing a huge clientele. Because, you know, these houses where these people have lived there for 50 or 60 years and it still looks like the 50s. You know, I think that the people that inherit these houses are just super overwhelmed. And I think that it's perfect for my refresh program. And I think that no agents are going around to attorneys, trust attorneys and family attorneys and like, hey, we have a solution.
Right, right. We got an echo from somebody now.
It
Probably.
wasn't-
I'm gonna blame Jill. I like blaming Jill. She nods. Yeah, well, let's segue then, unless anyone else has like the panels before Dan. But if you're not on camera, I don't know if you're paying attention or not. Mary, I know you were there. I'm not sure who else was there in the room. But yeah, we can dive in to kind of dissect the data. And I think before we get to like what am I going to do about it, I think let's like work together to understand it. So I'm gonna lead off, and then others want to chime in like, oh yeah, here's something I took away, or here's what it means to me. So bottom line, what he's doing is I think we create niches in real estate as we think about types of property. Oh, I'm a land guy, I'm a commercial guy, but we don't often think about niches in terms of stage of life, maybe with the exception of first-time home buyers. And so he's making the argument, hey, a huge percentage of the population is this boomer. Does anyone remember what percentage of the population is boomer population? Quick quiz, 33%, a third of the human population, I think this was US specific, is in the baby boomer age. 70 trillion, yeah, Jill?
Is it echoing?
No, you're good.
Okay, perfect. I had written down 30% of boomers are listers, 50% of all buyers are boomers,
Okay,
which is like astonishing.
that is astonishing. I didn't remember that specific statistic. He shared also that 10,000 people a day turn 65, which is like, I don't know, where do you get this data? I'm just trusting it. I'm not cross-referencing it. And so he's saying, hey, a huge percentage of the population is of this demographic. They're aging, they ain't getting any younger, and they have different concerns. And so he has niched down and created a business that's designed to serving these people, and primarily these people who have wealth. He said that, you know, we're getting ready to see $70 trillion worth of wealth pass from one generation to the next. And yet, how many of us have had families fall apart or are aware of family fights as it relates to the transfer of wealth from one generation to the other? And so he's built this business that's designed to service this group and not sell to them, but to consult to them. So someone take up from there. Where did we go from there? Where did he take us in the conversation from there, from people who were there? Mike, I'll put you on the spot.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was in and out of that room the whole time, but I think that, you know, it goes to some of the things that Melissa touched on, which were around being heavily education-based, right? And this idea that the way that it resonated with me is that the market for the last 5 years has been filled with people that want to sell, right? If you slide a seller net sheet in front of them, they are going to be really excited when they see the appreciation value of their home and what they're going to net, right? Oh my gosh, I'm going to have, $150,000 I'm going to net in this. And then, so they're going to want to do it. And they're going to want to do it because they get to upgrade or downgrade or stash cash or do any of that. The market that we're moving into, or the market that we're in right now, is nobody wants to sell, right? Because I got to buy at a higher interest rate. Even if I own my home, like the moment of appreciation, while it has happened, it is no longer happening. So if I looked at the value of my home a year ago and now, it might be a 0.5 point higher.
Yeah.
And so we have to do more as real estate agents to be strong economists and strong fiduciaries to identify the people who don't want to sell, but need to sell, and educate them in a way to help them understand why it's important to sell and what vehicles or mechanics to use in that sale process to protect the wealth that is being transferred.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And his heart, a big part of his heart was keeping families together. The parent says, "Oh, my kids are good." But then he had that series of questions. Are your kids different? Do they think differently? Do they look different? Are they in different, economic stages of their lives? And if the answer to any or more than one of those questions is yes, then odds are good. Like, it's going to be a complicated situation. And so it's not just about what tax vehicles can we make them aware of. It's how do we help them think holistically about this stage of life. And the truth is that there's no licensed profession that is geared towards this. You got financial planners, which may have some awareness. You got trust attorneys, you've got real estate attorneys, you've got CPAs, like everyone's got an angle on it. But his thesis was the real estate professional is better positioned than anybody if they've got the right mindset, training, and tools to be the person that guides them through transfers of wealth. We learned that the average investor has at least 3 properties, which frankly, I thought that was a little bit of a low number. I expected it to be higher. And so when you provide a more holistic level of care and education, the opportunity for not just selling a mom and dad's place when they decide to move into a nursing home, but to help them care for their portfolio in a holistic way, I think that's a game changer. There's a big deal. Does anyone, you remember the funnel that he talked about? So I think part of what I was drawn to was this, the world that he created. So like, okay, I know what a 1031 exchange is. I know what this stuff is, but he's created an entire business around this. And he started talking about the ecosystem, kind of like you, Melissa, like you've created, I've got staging and I've photography and I've got this refresh business. Anyone want to talk about kind of the other businesses related to this real estate planner world that he talked about? I can keep going, but I don't want to turn this into a moment.
I left early, so I'm sorry. Yeah, otherwise I would be talking with you.
He mentioned one thing I know he mentioned was like senior move manager companies, like moving. I asked the question if it was a consignment based company, but he was more referencing older moving product and and furniture and everything that's within someone's house as another avenue to get some revenue and help them in that process. So a move management company. He also spoke to the referral process from attorneys. He was saying that an attorney from 10 years ago that he kind of started speaking with is starting to refer him business now as the trust attorneys on certain projects, and they've now referring him business. So that seemed to be another funnel as well. Yeah.
The senior move managers. That was a total learning moment for me. I'd never heard, like, it's an entire industry.
Oh, cool.
I'd never heard of it before, but it's professionals whose job is to help navigate this difficult stage of life. So if you are helping people to liquidate their properties, like, odds are decent that a senior move manager could be involved. He talked also about in-home care. Oftentimes mom and dad are still at the home seeking in-home care, but that means that there are next potential steps in the way. And so the in-home care, senior move managers, and then the sale of the home is often after that. And so I think one of the action steps for people that were drawn to this model is, what does it look like for me to do the whole drop off business cards or get coffee with people that are connected to the senior move management business in the respective communities that you serve, as well as in-home care business, because those are big businesses. And there's big checks being written for the people to receive quality care in those communities, but those are real referral sources. I think sometimes we think about divorce attorneys, we think about maybe accountants, but those were two niches that I think are going to be major players and are going to be increasingly major players as we think about kind of the life cycle funnel of aging boomers, and particularly wealthier aging boomers. Other thoughts, other takeaways as it relates to Dan's keynote?
Mark, a couple things. He'd said this towards the beginning and it blew my mind, and it just woke up my eyes to, if you don't understand this, you need to understand it so you can be a real estate advisor. He said, we are about to see the greatest transfer of wealth ever. The prior generation transferred $7 trillion of real estate wealth. The next transfer is expected to be 70 trillion. It's astonishing. And it really, the whole thing opened up my eyes. And something else he said in the beginning, even aside from the real estate planning period, he said, we actually talked about shift in our team meeting today, but he said there's 6 core competencies in a shift. And even Gary will tell you the 2 most important ones are get an appointment and get an agreement signed.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wanted to bring up.
Yeah. Well, and to piggyback on that, I think one of the things that I felt most empowered by, because we all know we're in the relationship business. We all know that our business grows as we kind of strengthen relationships with the people in our world and grow the number of people that we have relationships with. Yet, one of the top objections that we have or that we get is, what'll I say? I don't want to just be hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? I'm not always hosting an event to invite my people to. And so I think for me, part of what I thought was most actionable is, hey, this is a real touch. This is, hey, like the role playing. Hey, do you know what real estate planning is? No, what is it? I help people build, protect, and transfer their wealth. Is that something that you would benefit from a conversation about? And who wouldn't? And frankly, Dan leads a MAPS division that's dedicated to really mastering this. And part of the opportunity out of yesterday was to kind of get into that community. But frankly, the stuff he talked about yesterday, you don't need to have some sort of certification to be able to provide a level of care to people. So to me, it felt like, hey, are you calling your database twice a year with this as your talking point? He runs a totally education and consultative based business. He hosts seminars to teach people. It is sales, but it's more raising a question that real estate agents by and large aren't asking. Other thoughts or other takeaways? I feel like there's so much more that we could say.
I'm unmuting myself just because I know I'm super new compared to everyone. I've only done this for a year. So, but for me, I come from a background where I worked in a probate court locally in Stark County before I became a realtor. And I have background in law and I know a lot of attorneys in the area. And I feel like yesterday was something, even though I'm too new to really join his program, I feel like I could really put on those kind of like seminars that he talked about. I feel like that's something I can gather people to do, like a CPA, an attorney, an investor, and even the judge. I mean, I feel like I can get those kind of things together in front of people. I don't know. And I'm also kind of connected with some folks in like nursing homes and things like that. So I feel like I need to really work that. I don't know that I have the organizational structure, but to do it, but I'm I think I need to work on that. So I might need your help, Mark.
Hmm.
Or just advice, because that's something I feel like I could do. I'm not experienced enough in real estate, but I am very experienced in those worlds, and I understand probate and estate planning very well. And one of the things that was fascinating to me is that he said about those transfers, and how you could use those to transfer your wealth. But also, I don't think people realize nursing homes are way more than people understand. It's typically 10 grand a month or more right now. So you're typically someone, even unless they're like multimillionaires, they're probably going to have to liquidate their home at some point. So if you're transferring that into someone else's name, your child or something, they could potentially even pay for a better nursing home based on the rentals. I don't know if he was necessarily saying that, but I was thinking that. I'm like, that's an interesting point. Like if someone can't care for their loved one or can't do that, and they want a more quality facility or quality help, even if it's home care, it got my wheels turning a lot. And again, I don't have the perspective all of you have from years of experience in this, but I feel like I could somehow jump out and do that. And I frankly have 3 listings, one that's about to go up now, and they're all people whose parents have either died or gone into nursing homes. So there's no buyer involved. There's nothing else. It's that's like so far what I'm doing. So
yeah, well, I actually thought about seeing you sit in the front row. I'm like, oh, Kim, with your legal perspective, you've got
Amy Guthrie pulled me up there. I would be sitting in the back row otherwise.
but your lens, you've got more experience and perspective on this stage of life and the challenges with it. And I think part of the opportunity, and you're kind of touching on this, is many of us have a more passive service approach to real estate. It's kind of, like Melissa was saying with building out different businesses, it's like, oh, if you've got a question, I can answer that, or I can connect you with someone. We take more of a reactive approach to people's needs. And what Dan's done, and kind of what you're referring to, is no, I don't just know a trust attorney. I don't just know a CPA, but we're actually partnering to put together a learning opportunity once per quarter or whatever it is.
Right.
And when you're doing it that way, they're incentivized, or they should be incentivized, to invite their database to it, because we all stand to benefit as we provide value to people who have those needs. It's not just about monetizing their situation, but it is about providing that value. And so for you, it's not just if someone says, oh, I've got an aging parent, can you help? It's like, yeah, the answer to that can be yes, but also what does it look like to build with initiative towards that, which is kind of on the step of thinking through. I love
There's
that.
this big theme of education going around, and can anybody confirm, is KWL, is that Amanda Pullman, before I say this?
I don't think it is. I think that's
It's okay if it's not bad, but I know she is a huge Glover lover. And so before I say this, the only downfall of the event that we had yesterday was it wasn't long enough.
Yeah.
I wish it was like a 2-day event. I wish we would have had more panels. I wish we would have had breakouts, intimate masterminds. Like, it was amazing. And second, like, this whole education, like, everybody's like, education, educate your clients. All people want is education. Kimberly, like, you're a year in the business, like, you are a veteran. Like, you don't get to say you're new anymore. After 90 days, girlfriend, you're not new. But I heard that whoever put on the buyers class at Elevate, that you guys had a really good turnout for that. I don't know, Jill, if you were there then, or if that was true.
I wasn't here, Ben.
Okay. And I know, like, we just did a home buyer seminar. We didn't do like a first time home buyer seminar. We invited 14 people and 12 showed up, which is like in Worcester.
There's like 15 people in Worcester. So,
and I know, and we only advertised like free beer and wine. Like, it was nothing crazy. And so I think that people are really wanting us to be educators and wanting us to be compassionate and wanting us to be like the liaison, and not like the person that comes in with the clipboard and the white Mercedes and the ego. I think people like really want like true, authentic, professional educators.
Yeah. 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 No,
Well, that's good because I don't have a Mercedes, nor will I anytime soon.
I don't know, white Lexus, white Mercedes. It's like a realtor thing. I don't have that either, but I have a John Deere lawnmower.
Cadillac, the Lincoln Town Car, you know. No, that's a great point. It's a different posture. And granted, we only get paid when the sale happens, but you know, to steal a quote from Dave Ramsey, you help enough people and at the end of the day, you don't need to worry about money. And so what does it look like to like, we all say come from contribution or bring value, like those are phrases that we use, but what does it look like, to your point, Melissa, to like internalize that and not just say like, oh, I'm an educator now, but like, no, my heart is to help people, and helping people involves helping them understand what's up from down and what their options are and how the process works, and you name it. Melissa, just to go deeper with you for a quick second, how did you get people there? I saw you posted on social media. Was that it? Did you call your list? Like, how did you guys approach it to get that level of engagement?
Well, I posted on social media, and so we didn't have a good whatever, like it said, oh, your boosted post is going to get this many people, and it way underperformed because I don't have a freaking clue what I'm doing. I'm like, I thought if I paid more money, like it would have better turnout. We made flyers with QR codes and like took them around town. And then we just went through our database and invited like our A and B or our first class and coach buyers. And then we sent it out to our sphere and said, hey, anybody that you know who's looking to buy real estate anytime in the near future. And, you know, everybody is talking down. It's freaking Thursday. Everybody's talking about doubling down on your biggest source of business. And like somebody mentioned like how expensive Zillow leads are. And so like doubling down on your sphere, like one thing that we've implemented this year is like we have a private VIP Facebook group for like our VIP clients. So we used to do like a once a month giveaway, like that we would put on our public Facebook page, and like people that didn't even like us, or like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like the homeless people that like stole our Wi-Fi right outside the window could like enter to win our giveaways. And so we're giving away, we're doing like $100 really awesome gift cards every single month in this VIP group. It's this much. Everything's a little bit about real estate, but not really about real estate. So like, this month it's like, use our discount at Sherwin-Williams. If you're getting paint, here's the code, and the color of the year is this. So we're always just trying to be top of mind without being pushy. Like, oh, we sell real estate. So I think just like really doubling down on like your sphere is like, seriously, I know it sounds like a broken record, right? Like, but seriously, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, it costs $3,500 a month to get 6 live connection calls from Zillow in Worcester. And of those 6 calls, 5.5 of them are going to be trailers or auctions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
like you do the math.
Not
I
great.
totally got off tangent. I'm so sorry.
No, that's great. But I think just to put a bow on it, and Jill, if there's anything else you want to add, I think I went to the E to P panel, Building to Your Breakthrough, and Melinda Chamberlain, who was brilliant. She said so many things that I wrote down. She said one of her secrets, or part of her perspective as we think about this educator mindset, is that she seeks to approach life with a beginner's mindset, because beginners learn more than experts do. And that just like, whoom, that hit me, because how often do we feel like we're supposed to be the expert, or, oh, I don't want my peers to know that I don't know everything. Or I don't want my partner to know that I'm not whatever. And it doesn't mean don't acknowledge what you've learned, but to have a perspective of like, no, I can learn truly something from everybody. I can learn something from the agent that got licensed last week. I can learn something from a business owner that's in an entirely different industry. But coming from that like childlike curiosity was part of what she said. So I think we might hear, oh, be an educator. Well, I'm new, or what do I educate on? And I think it starts with curiosity and seeking to be a learner yourself. You can't be an educator if you're not also curious to learn yourself. Jill, do you want to dot the I, cross the T,
Bring us home.
win
Yeah.
one for the Skipper?
Something I did want to add, kind of to piggyback on Melissa and Kimberly, and I completely agree that education and educating people is such a huge thing right now. And when he talked about, sure, like I know that you put things in a trust, but like, I don't know, something that was a light bulb is like, what's the right way to build a trust even? And I'm a realtor and I don't know that. Like, that's really embarrassing. And I guarantee you the general population doesn't know. I might know a bit more than they do. So it was a huge light bulb moment to me. And putting a bow on that, Mark, like he said, bless your family while you are alive rather than fight when you're dead. And so the more we can understand this whole process and the more we can teach it to our buyers, it is the way you win. You know, we've moved from a fast-paced market to a skill-based market. And that doesn't mean, and I agree with Melissa, Kimberly, girl, you got 3 listings coming. You're not a newbie, like congratulations. So it doesn't matter where you are at. You can educate yourself on something. You could be brand new in the business and educate yourself on this, and you can teach it to your buyers. And I think your business will explode, buyers and sellers. So it was great. Thank you, Mark, for running this ship.
Of course. 2 weeks from today, we'll be back with our next K1 conversation. It is going to be, I think we got it called Bucking the Trend. So I'm going to be diving in with a couple of agents whose businesses are dramatically outperforming the market. Basically to say, okay, yeah, it can be tempting to have a mindset of, well, the market's down, so my business is just going to be down. Yet it's not down for everybody. And so my hope is that it's not a like, well, good for you sort of conversation, as much of a, hey, what in their mindset, or what in their activity, what in their strategy, what have they changed to help them outperform the market in significant ways. So that'll be 2 weeks from today, I believe. So stay tuned for an email about that. Otherwise, thanks for your time, folks. Thanks for contributing. Hope it's beneficial.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Y'all.